Hey everyone, welcome to another weekly vlog. Hope everyone out there had a great 4th of July weekend. So today I'm going to talk about my past work history and some weird and funny stories that have happened to me at my jobs. So the first job I had was way back in 2003, and this was a job at Kmart. Now, Kmart was an alright place to work. I didn't really have any issues with them. Uh, So I was designated as O1, and that pretty much meant that I stocked shelves, did carryouts, got carts. I would run the register when they needed me to, and basically do whatever the manager told me to. Um, and there were some things that I really didn't want to do that I had to do. As I had to clean up bathrooms where there was shit on the walls, so I had to mop up the walls, which is ridiculous. Of course, that was only a one-time thing, but still, I don't even know how the poop got on the walls. I don't get that, but yeah, it was just weird. Another time, uh, around Christmas, they made me dress up like an elf, and I had to go and see our Kmart was actually kind of down in a place called Mallow Mall, and it was actually kind of down a small little hill where it was kind of in a valley type place. So I had to go up on top of this hill where the entrance to the whole area was, and with a sign, I guess, promoting some kind of deal that we had going on to get people to come in the store. And that was humiliating. That was really humiliating. Hated that. Uh, but really, it was a decent first job, honestly. So in, I guess it was August of 2006, I moved to a city an hour away for school, and wound up getting a job at Toys R Us. Now, if you know me at all, you would think, really? Toys R Us? And that's because I'm not too fond of kids. And the weird thing is, I may want to have a kid of my own someday, but I don't like kids. I find them annoying and unpredictable. They scare the crap out of me. Uh, but, if it's my kid, that'll be fine. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of kids. So going to Toys R Us, I was thinking, well, it'll be kind of cool. I mean, they sell video games and they have cool like action figures and stuff there. So that'll be cool. So I worked there from 2006 to 2008, and it was a pretty good job. Basically, I was a sales associate, and I would run register. I was actually there when the Nintendo Wii came out, and the craziness of people trying to get those. I was on register, I think on launch day when people were buying it, and I just remember people buying the Wii's, and usually most people bought it with Twilight Princess. Uh, but yeah, I remember that. That was a pretty crazy time. I know there were these guys that, I think it was a family. They would come in on the days that we had Wii systems, and they would have a stack of gift cards like that big, and use those gift cards to pay for the systems. I don't think they ever bought any games. It was just the system. We all pretty much just thought that they were selling them on eBay because it was the same people every time, and they would. It used to be that they would try to buy a bunch like as a family, but we limited it to I think like one per household. So they wound up splitting up and having the stacks of gift cards. It's pretty ridiculous. So pretty soon I moved up into working in the video game section, and now this store actually has a whole section with the video games in actual glass cases, just a big section all together. when I was there, they had the video game section, which was pretty much they would have like little pouches and like these little flaps where you could put in artwork for the game, and then you can put in the back artwork for the game, and then below it would be a pouch with a tag, little ticket that actually had the price of the game on it, and you would take that ticket up to the register to buy it. And so after you bought it, you would take the ticket over to a little desk by a door, and we would have to unlock the door, go in there, and get the game. And I really enjoyed that. I love video games, as you guys can tell, and so that was really fun to work there, and to just to see all these games when they came in, and you really got to see a lot of trends about what people were buying at the time, and since it was a kid's store, there were a lot of DS systems. I mean, we sold so many DS Lite systems. It was ridiculous. And of course you saw a lot of shitty games being sold. It's like, oh, it's like, oh, they're buying the Littlest Pet Shop. It's like, no, buy good games, stupid kids. But but yeah, it was fun. We had, God, I remember there was this one kid. I think he came in for seasonal or something. I won't use his name, but he was a weird kid. I mean, weirder than me. He was weird, but I mean, I guess he was a nice guy. I can't remember much. I mean, he was. I don't know. He didn't talk a ton, and usually when I caught him on break, he was playing his DS. But I remember one time when I was on break, it's like I was sitting there, and then all of a sudden the door to the break room just swings open like that, and I'm just kind of like shocked like that, and he's just standing there with his leg out like that. He'd kicked the door open, and I'm just like, dude, what if somebody was in front of the door? And he's like, well, nobody was. And yeah, it's just ridiculous. And there was one point where I think a customer got like really ticked off at him because I think he was getting something off of the top shelf for a customer, and then apparently threw it at the customer, like, here. And I think that wound up costing him the job. But yeah, you meet a lot of interesting people in these different jobs. But yeah, I mean, even though it was with a kid's store, so to speak, I did enjoy working there. It was a pretty good place to work. And of course, being in retail, the one thing I learned, especially from Toys R Us, and what people learn when they get into retail, is that you may be scheduled from like 1 to 9, but you're not getting out of there until the store is cleaned up. Like at our store, I remember, if we were scheduled till 9, we would have returns that we had to put back. We have to straighten the store, and usually we'd leave at 10. So that would take a lot of newcomers off, and it was kind of annoying because it's like, why don't you just schedule us till 10? And I guess it has something to do with if we get out earlier so that they don't waste time. But I don't know. It is kind of annoying. So let's see. I guess it was probably around August or September of 2008. I had graduated from this technical school I was going to, and wanted to kind of get into a job that actually was under my skill set. So I wound up getting a job at Circuit City. And I was trying to get into the IT area that they had with it was the Fire Dog Associates. That's what they were called. But I got on as a sales associate, which was fine. And I of course Circuit City went out of business like 4 or 5 months after I started working there, so that sucked. So it was a very short job, but it was probably the best job I ever had because I made so many friends there, friends that I still have to this day. So just met a lot of cool people there, uh, and that I'm still talking to them, today. So that's a great thing, and that's the thing that I take the most out of my time at Circuit City. Uh, but yeah, that was fun. I liked working there for the short time I was there. So I wound up quitting after I heard that the whole the store was going out of business, and wound up getting a temp job. And this temp job was super easy. It was an office job where all I really had to do was like separate um, pages and run them through a scanner to be scanned in to digitize all these records and stuff. And it was a super easy job. I could bring in my MP3 player, listen to podcasts, and that's basically what I did the entire time. Listen to podcasts and do work. I got paid like $10 an hour for that. Great job. We wish I could do that all the time. But unfortunately, since it was a temp job, it was only temporary. And so that lasted, I guess, until the summer of '09, and wound up through the temp agency getting a job at it was in the same place but in a different area, and this was doing foreclosure notices, and I had no idea what I was doing. It was one of those things where it's like, oh, here's a binder, that you can go through and look over all the stuff and study it. But since it is sensitive material to the company, you can't take it home, so you can only look at it here at work. And so, it was. I never really got this stuff down, and I was freaking out some days because I just really didn't know what I was doing. Um, and this leads to a really funny and stupid thing on my part. So, it gotten to the point with this temp job that I just dreaded coming into work because I did not know what I was doing, and I didn't want to screw things up, and it was just bad. So I decided, called in sick and was like, you know what, I'm gonna spend this day looking for another job. And while and I actually put on as my Facebook status, playing hooky from work to find another job. And so while I was actually driving around looking for different places to try to apply to, I got a call from the temp agency saying, yeah, we're letting you go from this job. and I'm pretty sure it had. I mean, it may have been just a coincidence. They may not have looked at my Facebook profile, because I didn't realize that you could put that at your Facebook profile on private, so really anybody could see that. Uh, but I think that may have had something to do with it. It may have just been I was terrible at the job. Uh, and so for, I guess for a month or two, I was out of the job, and wound up getting a job at another retail store. I'm not going to mention the name because you know what? One day I may go back there to work. I don't know. And so I worked there from, I guess, the end of 2009 until, I guess, still no, it was November of last year. God, I don't know why I didn't think of that, but yeah, it was until November of last year, and it was a good place to work. I got on first as an IT associate there. and did decent there. But the problem with this place, when you're in the IT area, you would also have to sell computers, laptops, desktops, and things like that. And they really were pushing, protection plans and add-ons, accessories, software, all that stuff. And I guess I just sucked at selling. And let's see, probably like, I guess it was around, it was around 2011. It was around, it was around 2011, I think. I know it was season 6 of Doctor Who. I know it's stupid, but, I remember big life moments based on what episodes of Doctor Who were going on. But I remember I'm pretty sure it was the first episode of season 6 of Doctor Who, around that time. They were going to let me go, and it was like, here's a severance package if you want it. And they were just saying that I just wasn't selling enough. But thankfully they offered me another job in a different area of the store, so went ahead and took that, and it was much easier and and much more enjoyable. So anyway, some funny stories from that, or a weird one first. This is the kid in the safe story. That's what I call it. All right, so one day I come into work and I'm looking around for people to help and stuff, and then I look over and we have we sold safes, some small ones and then some huge ones. So I'm looking and I see this kid who is probably 4 to 6 years old. He really doesn't look that old at all, and he's got a safe on the ground. Somehow he's managed to pull, like, it was a medium-sized safe that off, like, the second shelf, which was probably not too high up, but for a kid his size, I don't know how he got that safe down to this day. So, I kind of look around and don't see any adults by him, and so I get the manager and was like, yeah, this kid, I think, pulled the safe down, he's messing with it, I don't see any parents around, we need to maybe do something. And so, we went up to the kid and we asked him what he was doing, and he's like, I need to buy a safe. And he just kept saying he needs to buy a safe, he needs to hide. And we're just like, what's going on here? And so when we're trying to understand what's going on with this kid, we keep hearing this woman yell out this kid's name. We didn't realize that at the time, but this woman was yelling out for this kid, and she kept doing that off and on for maybe about 5 to 10 minutes when she finally came over there, and then was like, we need to go, and was like, I guess yanking at the kid, trying to get him out of there. And the kid just started freaking out, saying, I'm not going anywhere with you, you're a witch, you're a witch. And it was just so surreal. There had to have been something going on with that lady. That lady was doing something to that kid. Oh man. But yeah, it was just really weird. Another thing that I will always remember was this actually happened in the last couple months that I was working there. It's so funny. Okay, so one of the guys that was working with me was named Josh, and he kind of pulled me over and was like, yeah, I don't understand what this guy's saying, maybe you can help me with this. And so went over there, and it was an Asian guy, didn't speak any English, or not much of it, and he kept making motions like he's doing that and then going down by his behind, and it's like Josh didn't understand what he was wanting. I didn't understand it, and he just kept doing the motion of that and then by his behind, and we just didn't know what was going on. We got another associate by the name of Case, to come over, and he didn't understand it, and so the guy was getting really frustrated that he couldn't express himself, and so he wound up doing it, doing the motions again, but this time actually touching my friend's ass. It was like my friend actually swears that this guy touched his ass, and but then it went off in his head. It's like, oh, you want toilet paper. So this guy wanted toilet paper. That's all he wanted. But it was just so funny. Like the guy actually wound up touching my friend's ass doing this. It's just it's one of those stories that I always remember. Really, really funny. And we were making fun of him the rest of the night for that. But oh, man. I miss working with those guys. But yeah, that is my work history. Hope you have enjoyed this video. But what about your work history? What are some funny and ridiculous stories that you have from your past jobs? Definitely let me know in the comments below. As always, like the video, share it, and subscribe. Till next time.